Hello guys, F.A.D here and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today it's time for my yearly CD collection update. Yes, now a little bit late this time around. Normally I like to have this out around like New Year's Day, but some stuff came up this year and yeah, most important thing is that we're here now. Yeah, first of all, Happy New Year everyone. Yeah, may all of our wishes come true in 2024. Let's make this our year. I will say right off rip that my year, I guess my not great start because this is actually the second time I'm recording this. I'm a little upset inside because I actually recorded this whole video already just now. It was a long recording, like pretty much exactly an hour. It was like 59 and a half minutes. And then I checked, I was about to start like editing a little bit, do a little fade in, fade out, and I noticed that I was recording with no audio. I have a new phone now that I used to record and it doesn't have a headphone jack, but I do have like an adapter. And I thought, hey, if I just use the adapter and I just plug in my mic, because my mic works on like a headphone jack, then it would work the exact same. No, it turns out that my microphone does not work on this phone, and instead of like, it just doesn't record any audio at all. So I recorded an hour-long worth of recording with zero audio. Yeah, pretty upset. Of course, it was a long ramble, which, it wasn't a great recording, but it was an hour long, and I was happy to, have it done and to get it out there to you guys for anyone that, like, enjoys the rambling. But now it's lost forever. So now I'm recording it again. Because of that, I'll probably try to like make this a bit more fast paced. So to anyone who enjoys the rambling, I'm sorry. Like I'll still make sure to throw in some extras here and there, but overall it's definitely not gonna be as much of an in-depth talking about every CD and like the whole story behind it like I originally did. I'm sorry, I don't want it like this, but the fact that I even actually got the motivation in me to re-record all of this right after like that debacle, like, yeah, that's already taking a lot out of me. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, let's get into it. I ended up buying a lot of CDs last year. So just like every year, the point of this video is to go through all the CDs that I bought, across the whole year. So in 2023, all the new CDs that I bought for my collection. As you can see, the setup is a bit different. It's actually a bit more reminiscent of my original like CD collection video, where I'm actually, instead of being at my desk and taking all the new CDs there, I'm actually at my CD shelf thingy. I'm right here with my CDs, which well, I hope that blah, blah, blah. The reason for that being is I think it's just a lot easier. It's a lot simpler for me because I can just I don't need to like get the CDs from here, get them to my desk and go back and forth. I can just be here, stand here, talk about the CD and just immediately move on. And so that's simpler. And I also hope that would be a nice change of scenery for you guys. I hope that the audio is okay, because I've never, this is the first time I'm just recording with my phone right now, like I used to back in the day, before I started using my microphone. So I hope that it's okay. Again, I apologize for all the difficulties, the technical difficulties, but we're just gonna do our best. We're gonna try to just get into it. As always, the order I'm gonna be doing this in is alphabetical order of the artists. And if I have more than one new CD from one artist or band, then they will be in the order that they came out in, from oldest to newest. So yeah, as always, nothing new. Let's get into it. All right, I just wanted to quickly make sure that I actually have all the CDs prepped that I got last year, but whatever. So without any more further ado, let's get started. On the very top shelf, where I luckily only have two new CDs, so I don't have to stretch as much because it's pretty high up. I have this last year I've had to resort to using the very top shelf because I have been running out of space in this setup. So yeah, my CD collection is getting a little too big these days, I feel. But anyway, starting things off, letter A, we got the band Anberlin with two of their albums, Never Take Friendship Personal and New Surrender. Just very solid records. Both of the albums, which have the two versions of Feel Good Drag on them. I actually, hot take, prefer the re-recorded version, and me and my girlfriend actually did sang that song together karaoke on New Year's Eve. So yeah, still got some stories to tell here. But overall, like I said, I'll try to be a bit more fast paced with the second take. But yeah, Amberlin, 2 CDs I got this past year. After that, moving to a classic for me, of course, a classic artist for me. We got Avril Lavigne, and with her newest album, Love Sucks. An album which, I wasn't super fond of when it first came out. I thought she was just kind of hopping on the trend of the pop punk revival, but, eventually the album won me over, and while I don't think it's, of course, as good as her original three, Let Go, Under My Skin, and Best Damn Thing. Yes, I include Best Damn Thing as peak Avril Lavigne. I still really do enjoy this record. It's simple and it's got some bangers on it. And I definitely do think it's her best since the Best Damn Thing. And after that, we have this band right here, the one I'm wearing the t-shirt of, A Day to Remember, a band that I really got into last year. It was a band, they're a band that I, of course, was aware of. They were on my radar before, I knew of them, but last year I really became a fan, and in turn I bought a bunch of their albums. So let's just get into it. There we go. I bought 5 of their CDs. First of all, we got, of course, From Those Who Have Heart, the re-release, the Victory Records re-release with some of the bonus material, like the cover of Since You've Been Gone. After that, we got Homesick, probably my favorite album of theirs, although lately, this one right here, What Separates Me From You, has been giving it some good competition, because I think this album is it's this is also an amazing album, but it's also a lot more condensed, it's a lot shorter, it's just over half an hour. So I found myself listening to this a lot because it's something I can casually just put on, and it's just such because it's so short, it's it's got no filler on it for me. It's just from beginning to end straight fire. I love this record. After that, again, Common Courtesy, another great album from A Day to Remember, of course, right after the whole well-documented split with Victory Records, the whole lawsuit and everything, and this album, thematically, covering a lot of that debacle. Just another great record. And then also Bad Vibrations, which, while, not as good as, I would say that Homesick, What Separates Me From You, and Common Courtesy are kind of a golden trilogy. And while Bad Vibrations, isn't as good, it's a bit of a step down. And of course, the band kind of changed their sound here. They kind of became more, they kind of turned their back on this, pop punk metalcore hybrid and kind of embraced a bit more of a standard, alt metal approach. I still feel it's a pretty good album. I still really enjoy it, and I own it. So, A Day to Remember, a band I really fell in love with last year. I know, again, I love this T-shirt too. Look, it's got this guy right here on the back. The same look. You saw him? Boom, there he is. So yeah, A Day to Remember. Really became a big fan this year. After that, we got a new album actually that released in 2023 with Bad Wolves, their newest record, Die About It. When I saw that they released a new album, because their previous record, Dear Monsters, which I actually did a review on when it came out, really surprised me, because I was really hesitant about the band after Tommy Vext left. Because I thought, okay, that guy was the heart and soul of the group, but Dear Monsters really positively surprised me with how good it was. And while this album is not quite as good, I still feel it's a very solid record. It's a very solid release, and Bad Wolves have certainly not disappointed me yet. After that, we got 3 albums from the band Bless the Fall. We got Witness, probably my favorite of theirs. Really good record. We got Awakening and Hollow Bodies, which is probably most people's favorite, and I also really love this record. It's a banger. It's a metalcore classic. So yeah, Bless the Fall. But then something completely different. Maybe going back to pop punk right quick. We got Blink-182 with their golden trilogy, if you will. These are the albums with the Blink lineup of Mark, Tom, and Travis. because of course I know some people will say, dude, Ranch is also among their best, but I mean, this is the Blink lineup, of course, the one that they came back with last year, with the new album, which I still have to kind of properly listen to, but these are, you know, I really got into Blink. I guess I kind of wanted to jump on the hype of, you know, the return of Blink-182, of the lineup, of, you know, the return of Tom DeLonge, because I remember I really started getting into them more the year before last year, at the end of 2022, when they released the single "Edging," the first one with Tom back in the lineup, and I was like, okay, no, I want to feel some of this hype, you know. So I started listening to Blink like more properly than ever, yeah, I bought, of course, "Enema of the State," "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket," and the Untitled album, you know, all the classics. And I haven't, like again, I still haven't properly listened to the new record one more time. I did listen to the title track when it came out as a single, and it made me cry. But yeah, it's just I kind of like, of course, by the time the album came out, I wasn't in as much of a Blink phase anymore, but I'm sure that will still come. And I've heard a lot of good things about the new album. So yeah, legend, of course, Blink-182, a legendary pop punk outfit. Like, no, enough said. After that, we're moving down a couple of shelves into a very underrated album in Edgewater, South of Sideways. Rest in peace to the lead singer of this band. Died a few years back. Yeah, just another, like, one of those, you know, it's a very me purchase. It's a very F.A.D. type of album to own. You know, just like early 2000s, kind of flew under the radar. You know, it had the lead single, Eyes Wired Shut, which was on the Punisher soundtrack, which was a freaking kick-ass soundtrack for a kick-ass movie. Yeah, definitely, I really liked that one when I was younger. I remember I also was a big fan of the Punisher video game. That's also a very underrated one. The video game on PlayStation 2, oh, that was sick. But yeah, the soundtrack for the movie was also awesome, and it had the Eyes Wired Shut, which is the lead single. And yeah, just a nice underrated album. After that, however, we have something which is very much unlike me, very un-F.A.D, if you will, because it's not rock, it's not metal, it's rap, and it's a bunch of it. It's Eminem, and I have to say, because Eminem is always an artist that I actually always was a fan of, like, especially, like, I remember, like, over, like, a decade ago, when I was, like, a little kid, I had a big phase with him, like, I always gravitated to his music, you know, and but it just wasn't until last year, because that I was like, you know, that I started buying his music physically, and it all started when, let me set the scene. Me and my girlfriend last year, like, started this little thing between the two of us where we would go on dates to the local CD music store, together, and we would, like, buy each other a CD. So she would buy me a CD and I would buy her a CD. Of course, we would each, like, pick out which CD we actually want and then have the other person buy it. But no, officially we would buy a CD for each other, and it would be like a cool thing we would do every once in a while. And I remember it was on one of these dates that we went there, and I just wasn't really feeling anything in particular. Nothing really just, like, made me super excited. So I was like, you know what? Buy me an Eminem CD. And from that point on, I just started buying it. And now I kind of have most of his discography. Not everything, but, like, most of his studio albums. So yeah, let's just get into it. We got, of course, we got Slim Shady LP, which... A Hot Take never was one of my favorites, but I respect it. It's a classic. We got Marshall Mathers LP. Now, again, classic. Very much a classic. My favorite Eminem album, probably with The Eminem Show. Then we got Encore, which, Hot Take, I actually really dig this album. I understand its flaws, I know. Like, I'm not ignorant of it, but you know what? I find myself coming back to this album, I mean, a decent amount, you know? Like, I don't hate this album at all. I think it's alright. Then I also own Curtain Call, his first greatest hits album, mainly because it has Lose Yourself, and I really wanted to own that song on CD. Then we got Relapse, and I know this is a very divisive album, so I need to have it said that I absolutely adore this record. Like, I think it's one of his best. I don't know what my ranking would be of his discography, but this is definitely a top three Eminem album for me. I absolutely love Relapse. Then we also got Recovery, which I also am a really big fan of. Marshall Mathers LP 2, of course. Revival, which is the album everybody loves to shit on, for good reason. I was one of those people. there was this friend I used to have at work a couple years ago that was a big Eminem fan, and he used to always defend this album, and in turn I would always like just mess with him and just always like shit on it as much as I could. It's not a great album whatsoever, but you know what? In the years since, my hate for it has died down a little bit, and I still appreciate some of the things that this album does. There's still some good songs on here. Again, not a great album whatsoever, but hey, I don't despise it anymore. And last but not least, I got Kamikaze. So I don't have Music to Be Murdered By again. I don't have all of his albums, but I pretty much have most of his discography at this point. But yeah, Eminem. So that was like my one big departure, because it used to always be where like I just wanted to kind of stick to buying rock and metal CDs for my collection, but that all changed last year with Eminem, I suppose. But yeah, moving on, we got Evanescence with The Open Door, which is an album that I owed it to myself to own it because I had Fallen in my collection for a while now, and then I also had Evanescence's newest album, The Bitter Truth. So it was just like, how do I own those two and then not The Open Door? My girlfriend said that to me all the time, and I remember we were on vacation with a group of friends in France last summer, and we stumbled across a CD store, and my girlfriend bought herself some Mars Volta CDs, and I was like, I want to buy something too. And well, I saw this sitting there, and I was like, you know what? It's about damn time for me to buy The Open Door. So now it's part of my collection. Yeah. After that, we got two Fall Out Boy albums. Of course, some of the most well-known ones, and From Under the Cork Tree and Infinity on High. Of course, before last year, I only owned their Greatest Hits album, Believers Never Die. So I finally got some proper Fall Out Boy in my collection, like studio albums. After that, we got another band from which I have two CDs I bought last year, and that's Falling in Reverse with the debut Drugging Me Is You, which is an absolute classic, and also the underrated, in my opinion, Fashionably Late. Of course, Drugging Me Is You, like both of these are, I love both of these albums for what they are. This is like the first Falling in Reverse album, like it still was very Escape the Fate-ish, like very like Escape the Fate style. And it was on Fashionably Late. This is the album where Ronnie Radke started to, you know, experiment, like introduce some rapping, like different elements from different genres, like country even, and just kind of mess around a little bit. And I respect it for that. But I also very much love this album for what it is. Like, it's just kick-ass. And yeah, again, a classic. And I remember it was this album specifically that I was like, why do I not have this in my collection yet? So I bought this first, and then after that I was like, hey, let me buy Fashionably Late as well. So yeah. Boom. After that, we actually have the newest addition to my collection, a CD that I got for Christmas, which is Five Finger Death Punch Fate. Yes, my girlfriend bought this for me because it had been on my wish list, actually. Yeah, and well, there you go. As you can see, it's still wrapped. I still haven't unpacked it. It's, again, the most recent addition to my collection. And yeah, Five Finger Death Punch, another band. A lot of people hate them, and I understand why, but listen, like, I also have their Greatest Hits album, Decade of Destruction. They have some bangers. I always loved Ivan Moody's vocals, and like they just got some bangers, man. And this album specifically also like what originally made me gravitate towards it was the single A Little Bit Off. I just really liked the vibe of it, and then I checked out the rest of the album, and I enjoyed it. And well, my girlfriend bought this for me now, so yeah, Fate by Five Finger Death Punch. After that, we got another recent addition, and that's another album that came out in 2023, and that's the new From Ashes to New with Blackout. And man, oh man, this album is kick-ass. I really love it. Haven't, again, still, a lot of these albums are still wrapped. I have, unfortunately, found myself, like, I still collect CDs, but I have found myself listening to them a little bit less. Overall, like, I still put on CDs, but like I have found myself listening to streaming services more and more. I won't lie, but I had to buy this because I own the rest of their discography. From Ashes to New is a band that I got into like in like 2021, I think, like before the release of their last album, the previous album, Panic. So at the time they only had their first two records, and I was looking for like a new young band to get into, and From Ashes to New was like perfect for me because they were like a modern new, like Linkin Park. And yeah, I did then after like Panic came out and it was a very solid album. But then like since I kind of fell out of love with them, I didn't like start dislike them or anything, but I just kind of stopped listening to them. Like pushed like they kind of got pushed aside until this came out and I saw it on Spotify and I was like, yo, I gotta let me check this out. It's a new From Ashes, it's a new album, and I loved it, and it got me right back on the hype train, completely reignited my spark for From Ashes to New, and I'm just still so very excited to see what these guys can do in the future. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite newer bands. Of course, by this point, I've already been around for like about a decade, but still, really a big fan of From Ashes to New, and I definitely hope to see them tour Europe somewhere in the future because I would love to see them live. And yeah, Blackout, great album. I recommend it heavily. After that, we got back to the 2000s with Funeral for a Friend, Hours. Yeah. Sorry about the reflections, by the way. There's not much I can do about it, I'm afraid. And then we got the band, going back to what I know best, and that's nu metal. I'm a nu metal junkie. And we got a band that, again, I really got into last year. But not only me, also my girlfriend, actually. And that's Head PE. And I got their first 4 albums right here. So I got their self-titled debut. We got Broke, which is the album that I was already familiar with, that I already knew of. And the first album I actually bought from them. And it's actually because I got this album on one of those aforementioned CD dates that my girlfriend also started listening to Head PE, and this album specifically, and really liked them. And then we both kind of just like got into them a lot more. So yeah. After that, we also have Blackout, which has probably become my favorite Head PE album, and we also have Only in America. Yes, Only in America. Very, very angry album, full of aggression, for better or for worse, but overall I still dig it. And yeah, Head PE, really got into them. My girlfriend did as well, so that always makes it even even more special, right? So yeah. Just yeah, it's a band that's still around today. Like they just released their newest album like a couple of weeks ago, Detox. So even though I'm definitely not that much into their newer stuff, because I mean I checked it out a little bit. It's like Jared Gomez, MCUD embraced that punk rock side a bit more, and it's not fully my thing. But I still respect it. I still respect it heavy. To have such a long career and still be doing your thing like that. Yeah. Yeah, definitely hope to be able to see them live together with my girlfriend at some point. That'll be super cool. But yeah, that was Head PE. After that, another band that I got into this year, and it's been a long time coming, because it's Ice Nine Kills with the 2 Silver Screams. We got Silver Scream 1 and the Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood. It's been a long time coming. Me taking this long with listening to Ice Nine Kills was just me self-sabotaging or something, because I was just doing a disservice to myself, because it was so obvious I was gonna like them, because I love metal and I love horror movies. Like I love horror movies so much. I got like memorabilia. I got the whole Shout Factory Friday the 13th Blu-ray set. Like I love horror movies, okay? And like I don't know why it took me so long. Maybe it's because I was gonna actually see Ice Nine Kills live like years ago. I remember I had tickets to go see Papa Roach, Hollywood Undead, and Ice Nine Kills as the opener, right as the pandemic hit. And I remember it was I had VIP tickets. I was gonna have a meet and greet with Papa Roach and Hollywood Undead. Like I already saw them live before as well. And Ice Nine Kills was like this new up and coming band. I was like, yo, I'm excited to check them out. And it was gonna be the best night of my life until the pandemic happened, and yeah, we all know the story. I still actually have the tickets to that show right there, staring into my soul every single day. It's sad because I also just haven't been able to even see Papa Roach since then. But yeah, most important thing, basically going back to the main point. As you can see, I still can't help but go on tangents. Last year, I finally started listening to Ice Nine Kills, and pretty much from the moment I started listening to the Silver Scream, I was like, yo, this is awesome. I love this. I love everything about this. It basically mixes together 2 worlds that I love, and that's, the music, metal and horror movies, and meshes it together into one, and it's just amazing. It's one of the best things ever. So yeah, I love me some Ice Nine Kills. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, moving on into dangerous territory because we got two CDs, two MGK CDs. We got Tickets to My Downfall and Mainstream Sellout. I know. The word on the street is you're supposed to hate MGK, especially if if you're a respectable, self-respectable fan of rock music or fan of music in general. Man, screw this. The point of this channel has always been to embrace like your enjoyment of music that is generally disliked, and I feel it's the same with MGK, man. Like, come on, it's not that serious. Like, I used to be kind of ashamed. Like MGK already, used to be a guilty pleasure for me, and I was kind of ashamed of liking his stuff. But this last year, I've tried to just get rid of that and just fully embrace the fact that listen, I like his music. Like not only his pop punk stuff, I also like some of his rap stuff. Like his album before these two, I was a big fan of. And I'm tired of acting like I'm supposed to be ashamed of that. Like I even the other day I released I uploaded the guitar cover of Title Track. So yeah, sue me. I like MGK. It is what it is. Boom. But yeah, I said it. Moving on, we got Matchbook Romance, underrated 2000s band with two albums. We got Stories and Alibis, and Voices. Boom. And right after that, we got an album which I pretty much only bought out of necessity because I don't even think I've listened to it once, from beginning to end since getting it. And that's the newest Metallica album, 72 Seasons. Yeah, again, like I said, I pretty much only bought it because it's okay, it's the new Metallica album and I own all their other records. I think I have to, also for collector's purposes, but I don't know, I definitely don't, Metallica definitely doesn't move me as much as they did before. I still come back to some of their older material sometimes, but especially their new stuff, I'm just not all that interested. So again, I bought this because hey, new Metallica album, especially after so many years after Hardwired. But yeah, I haven't even really bothered to check it out properly, so yeah. It is what it is. But okay, I think at this point I should probably pause the video recording right quick and move the camera a little lower because we're getting to the lower portion of my shelves, to the lower shelves. So be right back. All right, is this a good setup? I hope so. Anyway, we are definitely, I would say, at least around halfway, if not over halfway by this point. So let's just keep it going, keep the groove rolling. It's going pretty well so far. So that's the silver lining, I guess, is that at least the second take has been going okay. Anyway, so yes, we left off on Metallica, and where the hell was that? Okay, so that means we're now here at the next album, Our Lady Peace, with their album Gravity. So of course, Our Lady Peace, I knew of them through the WWE and the fact that they, they made Chris Benoit's theme song. But yeah, so they were a band that I already knew of before, and they were always a group that I wanted to check out, and I decided to specifically check out this album because as it turns out, actually, this is the album where they kind of sold out on, where they kind of went into a more mainstream post-grungy direction, and I guess that's the reason why I like it so much. But anyway, this is just the album that I kind of just happened to really like around last year. This is an album that I found myself coming back to whenever I was just in the mood for something a bit more laid back, a little calmer, and just chill vibe. And because for that kind of mood, it's perfect. I really enjoy listening to this record. It's just a really solid album. I really enjoy it. So yeah, Our Lady Peace, Gravity, and after that we got Papa Roach. Yes, surprise, with Getting Away with Murder. Of course, you might wonder now, hey, I thought you already owned this album. That's right, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Of course I already owned this album. But this is actually a version which has 2 bonus tracks on it. I've been meaning to pick this one up because I actually never listened to the bonus tracks, at least not properly, even though this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Until last year, where I specifically listened to the song Harder Than a Coffin Nail, and I was like, yo, this is a banger. I gotta own this version. So I managed to eventually track this version down with the 2 bonus tracks, Harder Than a Coffin Nail and Caught Dead. And yeah, now I own it, so I was able to actually pick up some Papa Roach again, which was weird but fun. Yeah, but yeah, that song is a banger, and yeah, now I bought it, Papa Roach. So yeah, I definitely had some issues with tracking down a copy with the bonus tracks, but it all came good in the end. And we're not done with Papa Roach, because this wasn't the only album of theirs I bought for the bonus tracks, because I also have the deluxe edition of Crooked Teeth. Now, Crooked Teeth is an album that I really actually always liked. This is actually the era of Papa Roach that I saw them live, and I have all the nostalgia for it, and I always really liked this album. But there was always the thing about Crooked Teeth, and that was its length. It was super short. The base album is only like 34 minutes, so I was always interested in checking out the deluxe version, because I mean it makes the album a little longer. Like it like brings it up to like over 40 minutes. So I finally got my hands on a copy of this. Of course, it also and yeah, I'm happy with it. It also helps that those bonus tracks, which lengthen the runtime, are also pretty good. So yeah, I actually bought 2 Papa Roach CDs this year again. So yeah, cool. But that was it for Papa Roach. After that, we got Paramore with their first album, and All We Know Is Falling, which has always been my Paramore album. It's always been my favorite, which I know is a bit of a hot take, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just remember, like, that was just a nice vibe, man. Like, it's simple. I'll dig it. It's, yeah. Like, Pressure was on The Sims 2, of course, in Simlish, and yeah, I have last year. I have also been like getting into like Riot, of course, which is a more what's it called? More common pick for favorite Paramore album. Of course, months ago I did the cover for Misery Business and everything, but anyway, I was in a bit of a Paramore mood last year, because me and my girlfriend went to a whole listening party. I think like the day before This Is Why, the newest Paramore album release. We went to like a special listening event at the local CD store, which is actually how we started doing the CD store dates together, because we were there, and that was actually the day when we did our first CD date right after the event ended. It was actually that, and then the album she bought for me was actually MGK's Tickets to My Downfall. So yeah. But yeah, we did that. We went to the listening event. I remember we won a T-shirt, which for my girlfriend actually, and yeah, that I was kind of in a bit of a Paramore mood because of all that, like during that part of the year, and I decided to finally get my hands on this album because it was my favorite Paramore record. So yeah, All We Know Is Falling. I mean, for a very long time, in terms of Paramore, for me, this album was all I knew. That doesn't really work, does it? No. This is the second time I'm trying that joke, because I already tried it in the first take, and I only feel it hit even worse than the first time. So let's just continue and ignore that even happened. So after that, though, we got Senses Fail with Still Searching. Great album. Really love this record. Found out about Senses Fail because one of this album's songs, Calling All Cars, was on the soundtrack for Burnout Dominator, which I used to play a lot when I was younger. And I always remember it was one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack, just Calling All Cars, we got another victim. It's just such a great song, and this is just such an amazing album. So I haven't really properly checked out any other Senses Fail records, but I should probably get to that at some point, because this album is kick-ass. Yeah. After that, we got Seven Dust with their newest album, which came out last year, 2023. We got Truth Killer. Haven't still yet to properly check it out, because I just kind of bought it on a whim, since Seven Dust is like known to be like one of the most consistent bands ever. So I was like, okay, I'll buy it because I'm sure that it's at least gonna be like a 7 out of 10. Yeah, and so yeah, I added to my collection because it was at the end of last year that I bought a bunch of Seven Dust. I was in the Seven Dust phase, and I bought a bunch of their albums. So when the new one came out last year, I was like, hey, let me buy it. So yeah, Truth Killer. After that, we got Silverstein with A Shipwreck in the Sand. I really love this album. It's very underrated in my opinion. Yeah, it's a bit of a random one. Like in the whole Silverstein discography, this is the one Silverstein album that I not only own, but I'm just familiar with. Like, of course, there's Waterfront, which I've also listened to, but I really love this album. I'm a really big fan of it. It's just super cinematic. I love the vibe. It's like a little adventure. I just love the vibes, man, and it's cinematic as hell. Like, even like the track listing on the back, it's like divided into 4 chapters and stuff. Like, I just really like this record. It's really good. So yeah. Oh, let me put it back in. We're getting closer and closer to the end now, guys. Exciting. But yeah, back to some familiar territory now. We got some early 2000s nu metal action with Spineshank. We got The Height of Callousness and, let's see, Self-Destructive Pattern. Yeah, singular, not patterns. Self-Destructive Pattern. Especially The Height of Callousness, this album specifically has been one that's been on my list for so long, like for albums that I've been meaning to buy, and it's just always passed me by, like just about. I've been meaning to buy it for so long now, and I finally got to do it last year. And then I also decided to buy its follow-up, Self-Destructive Pattern, and actually, since buying these records, I think that this one's actually overtaken its predecessor as my favorite. This album is so good. Like, I really love this album. Like, it's definitely, I've been listening to it a lot, let's just say that. But still, both of these albums together are honestly such underrated nu metal masterpieces. Like, honestly, I mean that. Like, if you're into nu metal, like the industrial scene from the early 2000s, like, these are some great records, man. Like, so much anger, like, passion, aggression, like, so heavy, fast-paced, fun to listen to. Like, I love these albums. I really do. They're great. So yeah, definitely some of my favorite purchases that I made last year. Anyway, after that though, we got another newer album, a comeback album. We got Confessions of the Fallen by Staind. Yes, Staind's big return after over a decade of being away. Like, listen, I'm a Staind fan. I love their music. Like, they've always been like one of my favorite bands to listen to whenever I'm like not doing too well. Like, it's just their music has always hit for me whenever I've been in the time of need. And honestly, this album was such a good return. Like, it's like they never went away. It's just Staind is back. As good as they've ever been. Very solid album all throughout. It's just classic Staind. Like, again, I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's like they never left. And yeah, Confessions of the Fallen, really solid record. Really happy to see them back after all these years. But yeah, moving on, we got another band that I really like, and I mean really got into last year, and that is, I got 4 of their CDs. That is Story of the Year. So I got their first 3 albums and also their newest album. So of course I got Page Avenue, classic record, went platinum, which for a band in this scene, post-hardcore, it's very impressive. We got their underrated, heavy follow-up to their first album in the Wake of Determination. We got the Black Swan, and I also, of course, like I said, have their newest album, which came out last year, Tear Me to Pieces, which, is also like just as good. Like, it very much, I've heard people say that it's kind of like a cheap nostalgia trick for people that grew up on like albums like Page Avenue. Like, they really play into that on this album. Look at The Falling Man even too. Like, look at that, he's back after 20 years. He came back, The Falling Man. But for me, a guy who really got into Story of the Year this last year, like especially, after listening to these first 3 albums and really enjoying them, to then also have this to listen to right after that, it just fits right in, and this is one of my most listened to bands last year. Like, I think together with A Day to Remember, like, I listened to them so much, like, especially like at the start of the year and then again at the end. And in the middle, that was kind of more dominated by A Day to Remember. But I really listened to a lot of Story of the Year last year. I really became a pretty big fan. And just really like these. I really like all of these albums. So Story of the Year. Yes. After that, we got Stutterfly with And We Are Bled of Color. Underrated album. Of course, as you can see, there's some damage on here, but just an underrated album. The band only ever I'm pretty sure this is the only release the band ever got to put out. yeah, very solid, underrated, really good. Uh, this had a song on the soundtrack for the horror movie, the 2000s horror movie House of Wax, which actually me and my girlfriend watched together a couple months back. Really surprised us. We actually really enjoyed it, and yeah, this had a song on the soundtrack. This album, so yeah, Stutterfly. Moving on, we got Sum 41 Chuck. Probably my favorite Sum 41 album. I had to buy this one because the year before, last year, 2022, I of course saw Sum 41 live and I bought their first two albums. Well, I bought All Killer No Filler and Does This Look Infected, and I still knew I had to buy this album because this is definitely my favorite of theirs. Of course, speaking of Sum 41, last year they did announce that they're going to be doing one more album and then one final world tour before calling it quits. So yeah, kind of sad actually, because I only really started properly getting into them like recently, like 2022 when I saw them live. But at least I'm happy that I still had the opportunity to actually see them live, like before they called it quits. So yeah, I bought Chuck Sum 41. Yes. Let's see. The hell? Oh wait, I messed something up. There we go. All right, moving on. We got Taproots with the album Our Long Road Home, and this is an album that I've been meaning to buy because it's actually not on any streaming services. So yeah, I had to get a CD because like how else I can't listen to it on Spotify even if I wanted to. So yeah, it's actually a very underrated album. I really enjoy it. It's got some pretty good songs on it. And speaking of Taproot, because I got another CD of theirs right here. I got the episodes. Speaking of which I also bought last year. Speaking of Taproot, be on the lookout because they might have something to do with a video idea that I got cooking up. But I won't make any promises on when or what or whatever, because of course I know how I am and I know how inconsistent my upload schedule is. But yeah, Taproot, Our Long Road Home, and the episodes. I only really bought this because I finally bought this album, and at the time this was the only record that I didn't have from the discography. But of course, since then they also came back with their comeback album Scissors, which I don't own, so now I still don't have their full discography. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. We're getting very close to the end now, guys. So actually, we only got like 4 CDs left. So first, we got 30 Seconds to Mars with A Beautiful Lie, an album which kind of similarly to Spine Shake, which I've been meaning to buy for a long time, and I finally pulled the trigger on it last year. Yeah, just like a classic 2000s album. Like the songs like The Kill, Bury Me, like that's like a staple of that scene. Jared Leto and them. My girlfriend has actually also been getting into this album lately, so that's always fun. And it's just got Attack, Beautiful Lie, The Fantasy is one of my favorites. Like just a very solid album. I really appreciate the spacey atmosphere. Like it's not super heavy or anything, but it's very atmospheric and just like it's got this journey and just a pretty chill album overall. I enjoy listening to it. It's a good one. Definitely my favorite 30 Seconds to Mars album. Although that doesn't mean too much considering their latest output has been nothing short of diabolical. So yeah, but yeah, Beautiful Lie, really enjoyed this record. And after that we got the final 3, first of which being of course Twisted Method and their only album Escape from Cape Coma. I of course made a video on them a little while back, and yeah, like I said in that video, it's just listen, for any self-respectful nu metal junkie such as myself, this is a great record to check out because it's just full of nu metal goodness. It's got all the elements. It's full of aggression, angst, edginess. It's heavy. It's fun. Like I really enjoyed this record. Like it really it really did a lot for me. Definitely in my opinion, one of the more underrated albums in the whole scene. Like period. Like really really love this album, and I recommend, again, like I said in the video, if you like nu metal and you haven't checked this one out, then I recommend it that you do because it's a good one. After that, we got Under Oath with They're Only Chasing Safety. This is an album that I often saw pop up on my Spotify, And it always stood out to me because, I mean, it was just like this cover was like just, this pair of eyeballs staring into my soul, and I'm like, okay, I finally checked it out and I really enjoyed it, so I decided to pull the trigger and buy the album. And there we go. Yeah, really, really, really good album. Really good album. Because it's so low, like, because it's so big, like, of course, this Under Oath is like right at the end in the alphabetical order. Because it's so low on my shelves, like, I sometimes forget I own it, but whenever I remind myself that I do, like, it's such a good record. It's such a good album. And then last but not least, we got Whitechapel with their album Kin. Now, Whitechapel and just deathcore in general is like something for me that's always come in waves. Like, I never, like, it's always something that like I would be in the mood for a little bit, but then before I would like even think about buying CDs, you know, I would like be out of it anymore. It would always come in waves, and I would then like start listening to bands like Suicide Silence, Chelsea Grin, especially. I love Chelsea Grin, or Whitechapel. And yeah, I actually decided to pull the trigger on this album specifically because it was on this record that Whitechapel decided to, you know, experiment a little bit more and toy around with some other elements and, you know, kind of veer away from the standard deathcore formula, which I really appreciated. And so I bought the album. And speaking of Whitechapel, actually, I actually also have this super cool t-shirt that my girlfriend bought for my birthday last year. It's like this purple tie-dye t-shirt, and actually, you know what, I'm gonna show you because the video is pretty much over now and I want to end it on a super nice note because listen, I had to sit through 2 recording sessions, 2 takes of doing all this. Like, I'm gonna end this my way, okay? So I'll be right back because, you know, yes, look at this, look at this. Look at this, like, look, it's so sick. Look at this, it's purple, which I love purple, like, it's a cool color, and the tie-dye, and it's got the OG logo, it's got the old Whitechapel logo, which just looks good on anything. Like, oh, I love this t-shirt, and I love my girlfriend so much, and if you're watching this, then thank you again for this t-shirt, and thank you for everything. I love you. So yeah, but yeah. On that note, that was it. That was my CD collection update. I got through it a second time. Oh God. In the end, it was worth it. I'm happy that I actually did get the motivation to just go through it again. I hope nothing went wrong with the audio this time. I swear to God, I'm just gonna post this on YouTube, man. It's what it is. But if you guys, it still turned out to be pretty long, of course, as always. So if you guys, if any of you actually made it through all the way and are here right now, then I'm sorry, but also thank you. Thank you for watching. I'm going to do my best to make sure that whatever next video I upload, that's actually going to be like a proper edited video about a band. I mean, I already gave a bit of a hint earlier, but again, I'm not going to make any promises about when because, you know, it's difficult. It's all like, I'm just, schedule be hectic. The schedule be hectic. You know, I'm going to school. I'm doing my 3rd study in 3 years now. And I'm gonna let you guys in on one secret. I think that this one I'm doing right now might actually be the worst one yet. But forget about that because this is the space to forget about all that and just talk about music and whatever. So yeah, thank you guys for watching again. Again, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for anyone that's actually stuck with me for another year of really inconsistent uploads. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I can't see things getting much better because it's just, again, things have been hectic, but like whenever I find enough time, like I'll always try to see if I can work on any new video ideas or whatever. And I definitely got one in the works, you know, but again, I don't know when it's going to come out. But stay tuned for that, whenever that might be. Who knows, it might be in like 6 months. But for now, that was my CD collection update, so end of 2023. All the CDs I got. No matter what, we'll definitely be back here again next year with all the CDs that I end up buying in 2024. So yeah, but for now though, my name has been F.A.D, and I'm gonna see you guys in my next video. Bye.